And so let's set things straight, especially for the younger generation, because there are many young people who are not aware of what has happened in the past. There are many people who do not study the history of this region, who are shocked at the information coming over our radios and our televisions and our elected leaders. Shocked by this. But it is ilmun nafi'. It is beneficial knowledge that will open up our eyes. Number one, the Palestinian people are the indigenous people of this region. Just like in Canada, we have indigenous people, Iroquois, we have the Mohawk, we have the different indigenous people who lived for thousands of years here in Canada. Palestinian people are the indigenous people of that land. And there is recorded proof around 4,500 BC of the people of Canaan, the Canaanites, living in this region. In 2000 BC, recorded proof of people Amoriyin, Amorites, Phoenicians, tribes from Crete, from the Mediterranean, coming into this region and settling in this land. So when Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam established Al-Aqsa, the people living around, the believers at that time, were the indigenous people. They were the Palestinian people. And they took care of this masjid, this area, for 400 years. And it wasn't until the time of Yusha, because Musa alayhi salam never went in, but Yusha was given permission to go in to establish Tawheed around 1255 BC. But the majority of the people living in the region were still the Palestinian people. From that time, there were many conquerors that came. Persians conquered, Babylonians conquered, Greeks conquered, Romans conquered. In 63 BC, the Romans officially called their province Philistine. In 63 BC, they officially called that area Philistine. Just after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, when Muslims responded to the Romans and defeated the Romans and opened up this area, the Khalifa Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh established waqf. He established a trust that the Muslims should be in charge of this place until the Day of Judgment. That Muslims are responsible, not just the people in the area, but all over the world are responsible for this area. And it wasn't except for a few brief 80 years or so with Crusaders until the 20th century that this land was conquered by the Europeans. But still, especially for young people, in 1917, 99% of the territory belonged to the Palestinians. 99%. These are the indigenous people. But by 1948, using the powers of the West, Palestinian people were driven out. Terrible slaughters happened to them until 750,000 people were forced to flee. Today there are over 7.2 million Palestinian refugees. Let's get things straight. This struggle did not start 2 weeks ago. Gaza is the largest concentration camp on earth. There are over 6,000 Palestinian people in the Israeli jails. Constant attacks are being done by the settlers. Every day something is happening to people. Masjid al-Aqsa, established by Ibrahim alayhi salam, our masjid, is constantly under attack. And this is not new. This is something that's been going on over and over again. So the present so-called war, it is not a war, it's a massacre, It is based upon all this oppression that happened in the land. And the reality is, and I say this to the younger generation, for you who will live longer than us, you are witnessing genocide. And genocide has been studied. It has been studied. And there are certain points, there are certain stages of genocide. Think about this. There are mass genocides that have taken place in the world. Number one, classification. That the people are classified as the other. They're classified according to their race, according to their religion, according to their ethnicity. That has happened now. Two, symbolization. Symbols of Islam. The hijab, masjid, so-called word Islamic jihad. Symbolization to put fear in the hearts of people. Islamophobic symbolization. Three, discrimination. This is not Muslims that wrote this. These are people who study genocide. The third stage is discrimination, where the people are excluded from civil rights. That is happening right now. Four, dehumanization, equating the people with insects and animals. The defense minister called our people human animals. It's here. Five, organization, special militias, groups of thugs, like the settlers, who are organized. Number six, polarization, hate speech, propaganda, up until our own city, our own elected officials, our boards of education. Seven, preparation. The victims are identified, they are isolated, and the mass killings are planned. Number eight, persecution, which is forced displacement. Look at the people being displaced from the northern part of Gaza, displaced to the southern part of Gaza, and still bombed. Number nine, extermination. And now we're seeing this happening in front of our eyes. And 10, denial. That the perpetrators deny that they committed any crimes. And we see it happening. All the stages of genocide are in place. But we need to be clear with one point, because being Muslim is not an easy thing. We have to be balanced. Our enemy is not the Jewish people. It is not Christian people. On October 18th, over 300 people from the American Jewish community went to Washington, D.C. They have wrapped themselves up. They have said, not in our name. They have been arrested. Even some of their rabbis, 22 of their rabbis, have gone to protest this situation. This is some of the things that their own Jewish people are saying. Not in our name. Our blood is the same color. My grief is not your weapon. Ceasefire now. And they said to President Biden, please investigate over 75 years of ethnic cleansing. This is not Muslims. The Jewish Voice of Peace is a national anti-Zionist organization. Christian people, the patriarchs and the heads of the churches in Jerusalem, they said, we, the patriarchs and heads of churches in Jerusalem, join together in profound solidarity with the Episcopal Diocese of Jerusalem as we bear witness to the criminal act that unfolded within the precincts of Al-Ahli Anglican Hospital. We vehemently denounce what is going on. What should we do? We cannot sit still. This is a new phase in our existence. Every person has to do something. We have to demand that the siege is lifted. We have to demand humanitarian aid has to come through the borders to the people right now. It's in front of our, don't tell me 20 trucks. If somebody stabbed you in the back and then pulled the knife halfway out, you're still stabbed. So don't tell me 20 trucks. It's insult to injury. We have to speak out. We have to demonstrate, and I say this to the young people, especially with strength, we have to demonstrate, and it means civil disobedience. Do not destroy property in this country. Do not attack innocent people, but make noise. Make noise so that it can be heard in our city. We must support advocacy groups. I appeal to you to support the National Council of Canadian Muslims, NCCM. They are on the front lines, and they are in need of financial support now. They're defending us. So those of us who have wealth, find their website, support them, as well as supporting Penny Appeal and all of our groups which are helping the innocent people. We have to pressure our political leaders on all levels. Stop the genocide. Cease fire. What is wrong with this? This is not Canadian. This is not civilization. Stop the massacre of people. It has to ring louder and louder and louder. Until our voices are heard, our actions will be heard. And it's happening all around the world. You're not alone. People all around the world are now rising up. This is a new phase in our existence. And we have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above all to have mercy upon all those who are dying under the bombs. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on the children of Palestine and the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give dignity and honor to the women of the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise up strong men, strong leaders in the Muslim world to take our confused political leaders from darkness into light. And may Allah accept us all. May Allah accept the shahada. May Allah accept the martyrs who have fallen in Gaza, who have fallen in Palestine and the West Bank. May Allah accept them and send their souls directly to paradise, to Jannatul Firdaus. And may Allah have mercy on us that we can be strong enough to stand and move in back of them.